Running fans, jumping fans, throwing fans, all around athletics fans, welcome to the Talking in Ovals podcast. I am Alex Cuesta. My partner in crime over there is Dave Hyatt. What's going on, brother?
It is a big week. It is U.S. Nationals. We get to see who's going to be representing the Stars and Stripes at this year's World Championships in Budapest. I'm very excited for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to see.
But do we, Dave? Do we actually get to see that? Do we? Because NBC is not covering it.
I know.
Do we really get to see it?
If you have NBC or you pay for Peacock, then you might be granted the opportunity to even see it. So
or
that's
USA,
a whole other issue.
USATF.tv. Yeah, Rob. We're not going to get into that. We could do a whole show and maybe we'll have another roundtable of just complaining athletes. But this week we have a great show. Before we get into anything fun, like, share, follow, subscribe, rate 5-star, Spotify and iTunes. Spread this word of mouth. Go look for us on the socials. Just go search for Talking in Ovals. You'll see our logo. We're there. Today is Monday, July 3rd of 2023. And for any astute listeners, happy 4th of July. That is coming up. It is America's birthday. Make sure you go out there, have your barbecues, be safe, have some fun, but kind of remember what you're celebrating. We just talked about USATF, the Nationals coming up. We have a pretty cool place that we call home here. So make sure you be grateful and have some fun at the same time. Celebrate it as well. So last week we had an awesome show, Dave. We talked to David Verberg, a 4x4 gold medalist mainstay on the world and Olympic stage. Really cool to get his perspective, talk about his career. We had some great conversation and he's, making some waves talking about the media availability and things like that with NBC. So go back, listen to that show. It was a fantastic show. And as always, we have some PRs, Dave, and I love it. During the summer, when there's a little bit of break, we have Coach Blue coming through again for us down in Baltimore, Train Academy in Baltimore. I want to give a shout out. 17-year-olds doing their thing. Dorian Smith in the 100 ran a 10.67 and 200 a 21.58. That's off-season stuff, so that's fantastic. Daniel, I'm going to try to get your name right again. Daniel Agumodede. Did I get it? I might have screwed up. We're doing that. He ran an 11.48 in the 100 and a 51.75 in the 4. Xavier Tran, 11.47 in the 4, and the boys 4x4 of Daniel. I'm not saying your last name again. I did it decent once. Cameron Baker, Alexander Lee, and Dorian Smith ran at 3:21 collectively. And we have to highlight the young lady all-star 3-year-old Micah Walker. She ran a 24.09 in the 100, 54.87 in the 2. 54.89 in the 2, sorry, and a 157.42 in the 4. And 8-year-old Edward Straka ran a 76-second 400. So doing.
Did you say a 3-year-old?
Micah Walker, she is 3 years old. We talked about her. Yeah, 3 years old, and she's just killing it on the track. So
3 years old.
3 years old. Maybe we should get her. We'll get her for one of our next episodes. She'll probably be the most entertaining guest we have.
We gotta make sure that we get her when it's not nap time or anything. So,
I mean, maybe if we get her cranky, she can complain. That'll be fun. Anyway, this week we have a fantastic show. Dave, we have our first ever high school guest, and what a high school guest that we have. I'm really excited for this one. We have Emma Zawatski. She is a rising senior at Freehold Township High School, 3-time META Champions winner, and a Champs XC Nationals qualifier. Emma, how's it going?
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. This is going to be lots of fun. I mean, it's really exciting, too, for me even more, that you're still in high school, because that was one of my goals. I've talked to Dave a bunch. I want to kind of scale the national finishers list and kind of just get all the rising kids, from freshmen, sophomore, juniors. And we had we had a little bit of interaction between the show podcast and you on Twitter. And then I was just randomly hey, come on. And you're like, yeah, I will. And I messaged Dave right after. I'm like, Emma said she would come on. So this is really exciting for us. So once again, thank you. We're really pumped, and representing Jersey.
Not only that, no.
Happier.
Representing the Shore Conference, which you and I are both a part of. I mean, we are Ocean County. She's Monmouth, but
Shore Conference alum. We stick together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I want to jump right in, because the one segment we do with everyone, and I think it's going to be interesting because this is a little more fresh to you than a lot of our guests, because a lot of our guests are closer to our age. But what made you start running? What was the spark that made you want to start doing this and has now carried you into high school and makes you want to continue doing it?
I think like what really sparked my interest in running was I kind of joined this club team in the town I grew up in because my brother joined the team to get faster in soccer. And then it turns out he was actually better at running than he was at soccer. And I was just like the annoying little sister that wanted to tag along and beat all the boys and everything. And so eventually when I was old enough to actually join the program, my parents signed me up, and then we went to like junior Olympic races and stuff. And what really like first sparked my interest in the sport and made me realize like, oh, maybe this is something I'll do for a long time was at my first junior Olympic nationals. It was cross country nationals in Alabama. And my dad's goal for me was like top 60. He was like, if you get top 60, you know, we'll take you out for some ice cream cake or something.
Nice.
And then I got third, and we were not expecting me to get third. And like, obviously it's junior Olympics. Like it's not that huge of a thing, but we just had no idea that third was even in the cards for me. So I think once I did that, I was like, oh, wait, this sport's actually kind of cool. And, you know, you can get some fun experiences out of this. So since then, I fell in love with running and learned more about the sport and everything. And it's been amazing since then.
See, that is so funny because I have a very similar experience because I ran in the junior Olympics, and the year that I went to the XC Nationals was in Mobile, Alabama. So that's just kind of funny that you know.
Yeah.
And I didn't get third. I think I was like 23rd. But it's funny how just, you know, like starting at that young age can really just boost you, and then when you get to your, you know, school and everything, it just kind of takes it to a whole new level.
Yeah, it was awesome. I think Junior Olympics and that kids program that I was a part of, it was Gone Running. So I saw you guys had Robbie Andrews on a couple weeks ago. Or
Robbie Andrews' dad runs it. Yep. Yeah,
he was my coach, and having Robbie around was awesome too, because it was like, I always thought of Olympians as superhumans. Like they're robots, they're not real people. But having him around practices, and then we saw him qualify for the Olympics, I was like, what? Like, that's Robbie.
He is like
he just comes to practice and kicks a soccer ball. Yeah, like he'll be kicking a soccer ball and playing Nukem with us at practice. Like, that's not an Olympian.
So did watching Robbie do that make a lot of you there that were training feel like it's something that's possible for you now? Like, as you excel and as you get better, like a lot of us, you know, we get good and we have that Olympic goal, right? And then sometimes it comes crashing down, but you had up close and personal, and you got to watch an Olympian like do things and maybe run with you guys a little and stuff like that. Like, does it seem like more of a realistic thing now that you've been around Robbie?
100%. When we were like first getting into the program and first getting into running and everything, and we got to know the Andrews family, and we're like, oh, he's really good at running. This is before he qualified for the Olympics. And then we had a watch party for the trials when he qualified, and it was insane. We were all going crazy when he qualified. My brother like ran around the neighborhood screaming. But it was awesome because he's just like our friend and just such a normal, cool, down-to-earth guy. And it definitely made it seem possible, because I feel like even still to this day, I kind of look at Olympians and I'm like, that is a robot. That is a superhuman. Like, they do not eat ice cream. They do not like, they go to bed at 8 p.m. And knowing Robbie, he's such a normal human who does normal human things. And it definitely made it seem more possible to qualify for the Olympics, because I don't know, every Olympian you know lives in like Boulder, Colorado or Flagstaff. Like, they don't live in Manalapan, New Jersey. So it was also cool seeing that. Like, you don't have to live anywhere special or do anything crazy. Like, a normal human could do it. You just have to like work hard and get there.
Yep. I mean, and really quick, I want to give a shout out to your brother, Tyler, because Tyler's actually a gifted track athlete in his own. He's at University of Virginia, track and field, throws a javelin, 64.7. I see PR there. So shout out to Tyler real quick. I know we're talking to you, but you mentioned your brother. So got to give a shout out to him because he's a gifted guy. Maybe Tyler, what's up? Come on the show soon. We'll have him on as well. We'll make it. Actually,
it wasn't even Tyler. Tyler never did track until his junior year of high school. It was actually my oldest brother, Zach, and he runs at Baylor University now. He does distance there. Baylor. He was actually the one that joined Gone Running. Yeah, Tyler was like, he was baseball all the way. He did not even want to touch a track. Like, he was nowhere close to a track athlete. And then COVID happened, and he was like, well, there's no baseball now. Might as well throw a javelin in our front yard. So that's how he got into that.
Shout out to Zach then too. Shout out to Ollie. Maybe one day, like, we'll come back and maybe
family meeting.
We'll wait.
Family
like,
podcast.
Wait now, like 5 more years. Hopefully we're still doing this, and hopefully we're like, we'll bring you guys into a studio at that point. But we'll just do like a family affair, and we'll like really let you guys like battle it out, compare collegiate careers and things like that. Well, like a family battle. I think that could be a good idea. What do you think, Dave? We'll just have them fight. We'll like be in the middle of it, just letting them fight. And
we'll be the mediators.
Yeah, but our luck, Dave, they'll be really
I
nice
think
and
that'd be
complimentary
awesome.
the whole time.
I know. But
Oh, no. No.
I love that. That's fantastic. So you're around, Robbie. That's your spark that you get going there. Now, what have been your memories so far, like your fondest memories that you've had of being a runner? Because, it's interesting because you've actually had a decently long running career so far. You started so young, and it's like, yes, you're only in 11th grade going into 12th, but you've had years of experience of running now. What has been your favorite memories of running so far?
By far, there's no comparison, the best memory in the world was Foot Locker Nationals, which now they call it Champs Nationals, but
I know
nothing other than the Olympics, nothing will ever compare to that. And I just hope I can make it back next year. But that was the greatest thing in the world, because I've been dreaming of qualifying for Foot Locker Nationals since 5th grade when I got 3rd in Alabama. Yeah. And that's been like my number one goal forever. And then I finally did it, and I like passed out in that race. So I didn't really even get to enjoy it at the finish line. I was just fighting for my life. But
so that was even cooler than winning MOC?
Oh, way cooler. I mean, MOC Champions, that was obviously extremely special, but no, nothing will ever compare to Foot Locker Nationals.
So quick question.
It was incredible.
Did you get some extra respect walking over there as a MOC Champions champion? Because it's like, we've talked to other Jersey runners, and they're like, a lot of other places don't know. They're like, oh, I'm one of like 37,000 state champions in my state. And it's like, you are legitimately the best runner in your state when you come out of Jersey as a MOC Champions champion. Did you meet anybody where you were like, no, I'm the champion from New Jersey, like there's nobody else? Like, did you have any conversations with any of the other girls about anything like that?
It wasn't so much with the other girls, because you look around those 40 other girls there, and everybody there is either better than you or just as good as you. So not as much with the girls, but it's crazy how many connections New Jersey has. We were walking around Balboa Park in San Diego, and I swear there was like 3 or 4 people we ran into that were from New Jersey, just casually happened to be walking in that park on that day. And they definitely like thought it was kind of cool that I won MOC Champions. Like, there was one guy that we met there, and he's just a local in San Diego, but he grew up in New Jersey and in New Jersey running, so he understands sectionals groups and MOC and all that stuff. And we told him like, oh yeah, I'm here, qualified for Foot Locker. I won MOC Champions 2 weeks ago, and he was like, oh, that's awesome. Like, I was never able to do that. But yeah, so it was more with the adults who like understood the New Jersey running circuit, but no, the kids, it was, I mean, everybody is either better than you or just as good as you. So I was more respecting them than them respecting me.
And your team captain was New Jersey legend Steve Slattery.
Yep.
Who
we got on the show earlier. Yep.
On the show. And he's amazing, just a legend. Went to Colorado, just an absolute. I just love how him and his wife just keep giving back, because they had so much love for that meet.
Did you get to meet his wife while you were there, Emma?
Oh yeah, I did a 35-minute run with her, actually.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's incredible. We had her on the show too. We had both of them on. Yeah.
Yeah. My dad, he really loves Steve. They talked forever, I feel like.
Steve likes to talk. Honestly, Steve's awesome. Like, we had such an open book, and it was such a great show. So I'll tell you one thing: the more you just travel around, especially as a runner, you'll find that Jersey, especially the shore,
is everywhere.
extremely popular. In Jersey, people travel and we're still just as loud. We're still just as boisterous. Like, people are so proud of being from Jersey. And I think it's because we get made fun of all the time that when we get out there, we're just like, it's pork roll and I'm from Jersey. Like, that's exactly how we walk around. And so I think you'll have a good time. And then you'll sit there and you'll talk to the people. They're like, oh, I have a shore house. And you'll be like, oh, please don't come back.
Yeah, I did. It was like a 30-minute group run. And Sarah Slattery was one of the people that ran with us, along with like Emma Coburn and Corey McGee.
Wow.
But
Cool.
I ran with Sarah Slattery for a lot of that run. And we just kept talking about New Jersey forever. And she was like, oh, yeah, my husband's from New Jersey. We talked about that for so long. And then actually we finished the run and I had to do one more mile. So she went a little longer with me. And
Nice.
yeah, she was awesome. And yeah, her husband loved talking with my father.
I mean, and I think it's cool that, you know, when you get to do things like Foot Lockers and stuff, I always think for a high school kid, it's a great preview as to what collegiate competition is week after week after week, because you get to a point where you are towing the line with people exactly like that, but it's just an invite. Everyone there was a county conference champion, state competitor, state champion. And with your seed times that you're going to, you know, I feel like you're going to have some incredible races going into next year. And then in college, like, you're going to be in the tougher heats, just jumping right in. So I feel like that's great experience for you doing these national meets, because when you get into college, it's not going to be overwhelming when you look around. Maybe it might be if you're looking and you're like, wow, she was an Olympian. What am I doing here? Like, that could be fun, but still, I think it's just great. Did you have that feeling as you were looking at the line going, this must be what college is like looking around?
Yeah. I mean, walking around and knowing that basically everybody there, the majority of the people there have run faster than you, it's definitely a humbling experience, but it's also super cool because you're like, this is my group of girls. Like, all these girls understand what I go through every day in training and understand the race nerves I have. And so it was very humbling, but it also felt like I was at home with those people. Like, those are my type of people. And it definitely, I would say, is going to prepare me for college, because that's a very high stress meet and very high competition meet. And going into college, you need to know how to deal with that stuff. And knowing that I'm going to be seeing almost all those girls in the NCAA in a couple of years is also awesome, because I already know them. I'm friends with them, and also I kind of know how they race. So I'm more used to being around that type of high level competition.
So I have a question. So at that meet, is it more of an individual thing, or do you guys really get together as a team concept? Because I think that the Northeast won, right?
Yeah, we won.
So like, do you guys even is it really like you guys feel like you're an actual team competing against the other regions, or is it just we're all here for ourselves?
Yeah, this is something that I don't think a lot of people understand unless they're actually in the situation. It's totally a team thing.
Nice.
We spend every waking minute with the other, it's 40 girls, so with the other 39 girls there. Every waking minute is with them, and a lot of that you're with your team, because that's kind of who you're closest with, other than maybe your roommate, because you get rooms with someone from a different region. But yeah, it's totally a team thing. We make team banners, we eat dinner, lunch, breakfast together. We're on the same bus. We warm up together. We do our runs together. Like, everything is together. The entire day we're with each other, and it's totally a team thing. I remember when we qualified and we were at at the regional meet, and we had to sign all these waivers and stuff like that in a little tent. And Carrie Beloga, who won Foot Locker or won Champs Nationals, she stood up, and this was her third time qualifying and as a senior. And she stood up and she's like, guys, these next 2 weeks where we're training, this is for each other. Every step you run, we're doing this for all 10 of us girls. We want to win as a team. It was so enlightening being around all these girls. And I mean, obviously you want to do good individually, but it really was for the team. And
I love that.
I got a medal. Yeah, I got a medal. I got a gold medal from nationals. I would not have gotten a gold medal individually. So I'm thankful for that team aspect as well, because I went home with a gold medal.
That's fantastic.
That's really cool. And I think that is something that, we've never heard from any of our other guests. Like we heard from Steve Slattery and Ian Hahn that they became friends at some of these national meets. But it's like, we didn't hear that from the other people, just that camaraderie. And I think it's nice because you're so close to it. Like we've talked to these Olympians and these people like that, and they recount a lot of things, but it's like, you're still so close to it. So it's cool. And we got a nice little inside look that, you guys are doing it for each other, and it does mean something. So, Foot Lockers, champs, whatever you want to call yourselves, you guys are doing something right.
Listen, when I was in high school, it was called Kinney. It was Kinney. Then it was Foot Locker. Then it was champs. So I am that old. Yes.
I mean, Foot Locker and champs sound better. Just throwing that out there.
I'm just saying. I don't think that's even a store anymore.
No, Kinney's. I think Kinney's was gone by the time I really started running. So. So
I like Foot Locker the best.
Yeah, Foot Locker just sounds cool.
Yeah.
Well, but
yeah.
So for the rest of your career, looking forward, to next year, your senior year, obviously, and then going forward, because you do plan on doing this in college and hopefully beyond. What are the expectations that you've set for yourself now? Let's, next year, what is your goal? Is your goal to contend for national championships? Like, where are you right now mentally with the next steps in your career?
Yeah, obviously so much can change between now and the end of next year. But as of right now, I would say my biggest goals would be to win MOC Champions in all 3 seasons. That would just be something I'd be obviously very happy with and very content with. I would love to just come out on top with my senior year and be able to finish off the sectionals groups MOC Champion circuit strong. But I would still say the number one goal is to make it back to nationals, Foot Locker. That was just, I can't talk about it enough. I loved it so much. So that's probably the number one goal. And then, 3 MOC Champions titles, at least. Maybe I'll double in track. Who knows? And and then we'll see how I progress throughout the track seasons, but if a national title is in my future, that would clearly be amazing, and I would love to be able to get that.
Yeah, I love that answer because I feel as a distance runner, we love track, but like cross country is kind of our thing. And to go to the champs national meet as a cross country runner, because like everyone's doing the exact same event. When you go in track, there's so many different people there, and they're all talented and they're all great. But to go with everybody running 5,000 meters, same park, it's just, there's something about cross country that is just so sweet and just so pure that I just love it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everybody understands everyone's pain. Like when we were running up hills during races and you're passing someone who might be like walking, and you just understand the pain that they're in, and you feel so bad for them, and you just want them to, like, you got it. You can get up this hill, you'll make it to the finish line. And I think that's the beauty in cross country. Like everybody is in so much pain, and everybody understands the pain, and so you really have an appreciation for everybody that you're racing.
Yeah, you can make it up this hill. Just make sure you stay behind me. I'm beating you. But What is your favorite race on the track? Dave talked about XC, and obviously you excel in XC. 1709 5K is fantastic. Puts you, I think, I looked it up. I think you're top 40 nationally right now as a junior, which is incredible.
Ocean County Park, right?
Yeah. Was that at OCP you did that, or was that's?
Yeah, that was OCP.
Listen, it counts, right? So what's your favorite race on the track? Because you have some stellar times on the track too. 2:11, 800. You need to update your mile on Twitter here because you're at 4:47, 8. You have a 9:57 5K, 10:38 2 mile. Like you're crushing it. What is your favorite race to do on the track?
I would say my favorite race is definitely the mile. I think it's the perfect distance. It's the perfect pace. Like I feel like the 800, it's a little too fast for my liking. And the 3,200 might be a little too long for my liking. And I think the mile is just perfect. But I do really want to get into steeplechase, hopefully next year, but maybe in college, or hopefully next year, but definitely in college, actually. And I wanted to do it this year, but my coach got scared the week before my first race. And he was like, actually, I don't want you to do it anymore. But I think steeplechase would be so fun. And I want to be like Emma Coburn. So I would love to follow in her footsteps there.
Yeah, it's a fantastic person to want to be like. And you just like pain. Anyone that likes a steeplechase is just a person that enjoys pain. That is what I'm convinced. That it's just like, oh, I like cross country so much. I just want to go dive in water while I'm running on the track. So, you can do that. But no, I have a ridiculous amount of respect for steeplechasers. So I want to jump into something that Dave and I have not experienced now for a really long time, and recruiting. So you can't get into specifics, and we're not going to ask you about like certain schools or everything, but we want to talk about the process. So what has this process been like for you? Because obviously, you were really just starting to hype up to really get up in recruiting. The beginning of this past year, junior year, is when coaches could really start talking to you. As you continue to run and progress and get better and better and make more PRs and things like that, what has this process been like over this past year?
I've been really, really lucky to talk to so many amazing coaches. And I feel like everyone says that, but truly they are all amazing and they all bring different things to the table. So I started talking to colleges at the end of my sophomore year last year. I think like the week of groups maybe was around when I was allowed to start reaching out. And some called me like that day when I sent the emails. Some, took a little longer to respond. But yeah, I've been building relationships with a lot of these coaches up until today, even still. And it's really been awesome. You send an email out to them, right? And some will hop on the phone with you. Some will even DM you on Instagram, reach out to you, which is kind of funny. You'll just get like a random DM from a coach and it's like, oh, hey, look who it is. But yeah, and you just hop on the phone with them and get to know them. And it's been awesome learning everybody's strategies and seeing everybody's different coaching styles. It's really cool. And you learn a lot about the sport. And so many coaches are running icons. And so you're talking to some of these people and you're just like, I cannot believe I'm talking to this person right now. And yeah, it's been really awesome. And I can't wait to be done with the process because it is very stressful, but it is a really awesome and unique process to go through. And I'm so happy that I got to experience it the way I did.
Yeah. I was actually, how do you keep focusing on your training and your racing while going through that whole process? Like it has to be mentally draining. So how do you stay on track and make sure that you get everything done and you're still mentally sharp for every race while have this big, huge choice that is weighing on your shoulders?
Yeah, it definitely got pretty difficult during spring season because certain coaches are trying to speed up the process a little bit and wanted you to commit before this school year ended. And I just wasn't ready to make any decisions yet. Like, I don't even know where I want to take my 5 officials yet, right? So I was like, oh my gosh. So that definitely got really stressful with coaches trying to speed things up at the end of this year. But no, a lot of coaches, they understood that I wanted to wait till fall season because a lot of people my age now are trying to move committing earlier. So a lot of people want to be done before the end of their junior year. But I'm happy with the way I did it, where I'm waiting till the fall of my senior year because so many coaches leave after NCAAs during spring. So many coaches leave, so many people transfer. And also I just want to see where my other friends end up going so that like maybe I could be one of their teammates. But I think the biggest thing is just, so many coaches leave and go somewhere else. So I wouldn't want to commit somewhere and then have my coach leave 2 weeks later. So I'm definitely very happy with, that I chose to do it this way, not do it earlier. But I think it'll definitely get more difficult during the summer when I do actually take my officials. Then the training and the recruiting might get a little difficult because, I'll be in like all the way across the country and have to do my long run or have to do a workout, and it's like hard to fit all that in the schedule. But I'll figure out a way to do it, but it's just going to be difficult and it'll be a lot of work. And also having to miss a couple of weeks of school is going to be tough, but I'm sure my teachers will understand. And my guidance counselor, he was the cross country coach up until this year. So he definitely understands.
Certainly does. And, and there is a sense of pride when one of your athletes is flying across the country for an official visit with like a Power 5 school. Like everyone in the school understands. So a lot of times we always hear about what schools are looking for in athletes, right? What are you as an athlete looking for kind of in a program, not necessarily a school, because,
Question.
small, everyone has that. But what type of culture are you looking to bring yourself into? Because obviously a big part of it from the athlete is you eventually choosing where you want to go. Schools are selling themselves to you. So what is something that you look for in a team, in a culture, in a program that attracts you to a school?
That's what's been kind of tough because I'm a very picky person. And I want everything to be perfect. And there has not been one school where every single thing is perfect.
Welcome to life.
I know. Yeah, so something's going to have to give. But, I definitely want high academics. I don't want too high academics to where I'm like, I don't have any time to train. But I definitely want high academics so that if I ever need a plan B, that will work out. If running doesn't work out, I have that second option.
Do you know what you want to study in school? Do you know what you're thinking about?
Not exactly. I know I want to stay in the running realm just because I love it so much. So, my dream life would to be an Olympian and then be a college coach, but you can't always pick everything you want. So maybe I'll work at Nike or New Balance headquarters and do something there, but
nice.
Definitely stay in the running realm.
Awesome.
So yeah, definitely I want high academics, but some things might have to give. And then for athletics, I really just want a school that will get me to the Olympics, which I know is a very hard ask, but certain coaches and certain facilities, they really have what it takes to give you all the tools you need to get to the Olympics. You just have to execute. And I think a lot of the schools that I'm looking at have the facilities and the ability to do that. And then also just the girls on the team. And that's such a huge part of training and of your life and how you enjoy the school there. And my teammates on my high school team are probably the best people on this entire planet. I don't think I'll get any team ever in my life that'll be better than my high school team now.
It is hard.
But I'm just hoping to get a little close to how much I love my high school team now, because truly they just understand everything. They understand me, my jokes, my sense of humor. And it might be a little hard to find a high school or a college team that'll match that, but I want to find something close to that.
So I'm going to, shoot my shot from my school, Marist. Something to be cool about being the first Olympian.
Just stop it.
Small school.
Just stop.
Just
You're embarrassing yourself now. You're embarrassing yourself.
I have to shoot
I'll keep it in mind.
Coach Chuck Williams, one of the greatest coaches in the country, throwing that out.
He is a tremendous coach, yes.
He is a tremendous coach. But anyway, so that's awesome that, you're be picky, though. And that's the thing. It's not bad to be picky.
It's your life.
It's your life. It's your choice. You're going to have to go and wear that on your chest proudly. Okay. And be proud of where you are, where you're going, who you're representing. So, and, fortunately you are talented enough to be picky as well.
Yeah.
That helps that you have the numbers, you have the times and the skill to do that. So be picky. Now, how much has because Strava has kind of changed the game, I think, in terms of everyone being able to see each other's workouts and things like that. How much has that played a role in recruiting? Have you connected with coaches via Strava and have they seen workouts and things like that? Is that kind of a gray area they can't touch? What is that the tech side been for you in terms of what has technology played in this sense?
That's actually interesting because you would think Strava would play a bigger part in recruiting, but it doesn't really play that big of a part in recruiting. The most surprised I was to learn that a coach was using Strava was I was on an unofficial one, and I did a run with the girls on the team, and then I met with the coach later, and I was like, oh yeah, I posted about it on my Strava. I put this cool picture on it, and she was like, oh, I'll have to go check it later, and I was like, wait, what? You have Strava? And
we're people too. We might be old, but we're people too.
Yeah, she was like, I'll have to go check out the picture. And I was like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. And so then I went home that day and started looking up all the coaches I'm talking to on Strava. And I could actually see all their runs, all their workouts. I'm like, oh, this is great for me because I get to see how they train their athletes. And I would follow some of their athletes on Strava. So, I could see, are they more distance based? Are they more speed based? And
That's
so
cool.
for me, it's been awesome. And it's also, I guess it's cool for them because I think a lot of people kind of lie about their mileage and their type of training. So they could just go right on Strava and see, oh, is this recruit lying to me? Or are they telling the truth?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, through recruiting, I think it's more of just, is this person telling the truth? And also kind of doing a little bit of snooping myself, like what's their training like? But yeah, for recruiting, it hasn't done much exactly, like directly.
I think Emma just gave a tip to any the athletes that are looking at schools. Go check out the athletes of that school, their Strava, because then and that's a big thing. Seeing how they train is a pretty big deal because we've talked to a few athletes, great runners that they said I loved high school and everything, and I got to college, it was a little different. So, it's going to be different. Obviously, it's college, it's a step up, but that is a cool aspect of it. Now, how closely are you tracking the girls that from Foot Locker? Are you guys in contact about where you guys are committing and kind of trying to go with some of your Northeast teammates and things like that?
Yeah, well, obviously we're gonna take our own path, whatever's best for us. But we do talk. The recruits definitely talk, and a lot of times we'll FaceTime or we'll Snapchat or Instagram DM, or even we'll meet up in a hotel if we're at the same meet, and we talk all about, oh, I hate this coach, I love this coach. Some of my friends have already taken their officials and have already committed, and they'll talk smack about some of the officials they were on, and I'll be like, oh, this official was incredible. And some will be even open enough to share about the money that they were offered, which is always very helpful.
Yeah.
So yeah, the recruits definitely do talk, and we all know everyone's opinions on certain coaches. And when certain coaches leave, and we'll be like, "Oh, good, I didn't like them," or
what a whole different world
it's
now.
Really cool.
We didn't like each other back in the day.
Really cool.
No, we didn't know. We didn't have social media, so it's just crazy how this technology has really afforded everyone the chance to communicate and to really play a pivotal part in the final choice that you actually make. I think it's fantastic.
I'm just excited for the moment that you're sitting there talking with a group of you and someone talks trash about an official and another girl looks and goes, I just committed there. And that awkward silence, this was cool. I promise. I love their cafeteria. That's going to be a great moment.
Yeah.
It might happen soon. And you're going to be like, oh, go listen to the podcast. We talked about this exact moment. But
yeah.
So Emma, I have a question for you. Going to Freehold Township, how much has Coach Briggs kind of played a role in everything? Because I used to coach at Manchester, and he was such a great guy. He was always very innovative with everything that's going on. He was a voice for every coach. So, what is it like been being on his team and running for him? Because he just seems like such a powerful, strong, great guy who's always team first.
Briggs is amazing. I couldn't have asked for a better coach in high school. For a long time, we joked that he was my best friend because my freshman year, it was COVID and we didn't really go into school. So my only friends were really my team and him. And I do every single one of my runs with him, unless he's working out some of the team. I do every run with him, and you become really close with the people that you run with. So yeah, me and Briggs are best friends. And he told me at the beginning of this process, oh, I'm going to stay completely impartial. I'm not going to, give any of my opinions about schools or anything. And he definitely has given his opinions. He definitely has his clear front runners, but no, he's been so supportive through everything. I think his training it's very flexible. If I'm not feeling that great one day, he doesn't judge me if I need to do a little less or anything like that. He's very versatile, and yeah, he's really an interesting guy to talk to on runs. It might not be the same as running with another 16-year-old girl, but he definitely, his opinions are very funny sometimes, and he definitely has a lot of interesting comments.
It's crazy. We didn't even mention COVID. I actually forgot that COVID was a thing. and that you like you experienced it. So what was that like? When did COVID affect you? Was that going into freshman year that COVID affected you? Like, and did that make you more hungry to want to become a better runner? Like, what was that process like going through COVID?
Yeah, so COVID was the middle of my 8th grade year going into freshman year. And I think for me, it played a huge role because there was a while during COVID where I wanted to quit running because it was like the cross country of my freshman year. And I've been looking forward to high school forever. And then I had like an okay season, but like, how do you really tell? Because it was only dual meets at our home course. So you can't really tell how good you actually are. And then I got injured at like one of the really big races that I was so excited for. I got injured, couldn't run for like 6 months. And running has been like my whole personality forever. So that was very difficult for me, not being able to run and then barely being able to go into school. I had no friends because I was going to school in a different town. So I had no way of making friends. So yeah, COVID was definitely very hard for me. And there was definitely points where I was like, I'll just quit running. Like there's really no point. And then winter season was horrible. Like I made it back for a couple of the races at the end of winter season, and those were so bad. I only did 3,200 and I had no endurance in me because I was injured for 6 months. So I had no endurance. I was like getting dizzy because you're running 3,200s in the bubble. Yep. I was getting dizzy.
Oh, the bubble.
I was like passing out after every race. So I was just not enjoying the process. I did not like it at all. And then we got to spring track, and I think the weather affects me a lot, and I'm definitely like a sunny person. So I was naturally just happier because the sun was out. And I think it took me like 1 or 2 races, and my dad, I feel like he always is bribing me with ice cream cakes. But
that's a great bribing.
Listen, man, there's certainly worse things.
Yeah, we got to this one race. It was the Blue Devil Classic, and I was racing the mile. And I think before this, Westfield. I think before this, my mile PR was like a 5:26 or something like that. And he knew I was better, but I was like, maybe just like sub 5:20 and I'll be good. But my dad definitely had a lot more faith in me than I did, and he was like, you know what, sub 5:10, and we'll get you an ice cream cake. And I ran 5:09. And I went home and I had my ice cream cake, and it was amazing. And then all of a sudden I liked running again, and I started having some good races. There's still a lot of bad races in there, but I started having some better races, and I enjoyed running a lot more after that.
So one thing we need to do now that, we're obviously in Emma's corner for all next year, any big race, we will like Venmo her parents money to get her like massive ice cream cakes just so we can motivate her now that we know like her like big motivator.
No, but I would say, I think on the bright side of COVID for you was that, it happened when you were in 8th grade and as a freshman. Like I felt really bad for those juniors and seniors, because it's very hard for a college to, look at an athlete when they don't really have times. They don't have a state meet, they don't have an national. So at least in your sake, it happened early, and that you were able to rebound afterwards. Yeah,
we were worried about my brother Tyler because he hadn't thrown javelin until COVID. And he learned javelin over YouTube. He didn't have a coach or anything until a little later in the process. And we knew he would be good at it because we saw him throwing in the front yard. And we were like, he's not too bad at this. And we were worried, not knowing how long COVID would last and all this stuff, and if the season would stay on. We were worried he wouldn't get a season and wouldn't get any marks down to get recruited to college. So he got very lucky that COVID kind of died down a little bit, and NJSI kept the season on, and he was able to get some good throws in.
Let's be honest. You were making fun of him, being like, haha, you're really good and no one's going to know. Ha! Like, you were poking fun.
I thought it was funny that he took such an interest in throwing a stick.
Yeah. So, all right. So, speaking of the NJSI AA, there's been a lot of, issues the last 2 years with meet of champs and national meets. Like, how do you, what is your preference on that? Like, do you prefer the national meet, or is it really, really important to win the MOC?
If it's me, if the same thing happens next year, I think I'd rather go the national meet. But it all really depends on the situation. Personally, I take a lot of pride in MOC Champions because it's cool that New Jersey is one of the only states that does an entire state championship. And so I think that's amazing. And I do take a lot of pride in MOC Champions and, winning and all this stuff. And so it definitely is a really difficult decision for me. I got lucky this year because my races weren't on the same day as MOC Champions. But for people where their races are on the same day, I just feel so bad for them because making that decision is really impossible, and you shouldn't have to make that decision. I mean, especially for seniors who maybe I had a friend that was the only time she ever qualified for MOC Champions, and she had a race at nationals that same day. And it's like, how do you make that decision between nationals or your only MOC Champions you've ever made and you're a senior? And so I think it's just unfair that people have to make that decision. And I'm very lucky I wasn't in that exact situation, but if I was, I don't even know what I would do. I think it would depend on the situation, and maybe if I had a better chance of winning nationals next year, maybe I'd have to choose nationals then, but I don't know. I think it's unfair that New Jersey kids are put in that situation where, as people from any other state in this country are perfectly fine. They're perfectly papered for nationals. They don't have to worry about it at all. And New Jersey kids are put at a disadvantage there.
So what was that grind like of having to compete at MOC Champs and then turn right back around and go to nationals? Like, what was that like with you and coach? Were you guys really trying to figure out what to do? Like, in between that, did you do any hard runs at all? Was it really just keeping your legs kind of fresh? Because I know a lot of athletes went through that same exact experience, because I think basically almost everyone at MOC Champs went to one of the national meets, essentially. So what was that like, having to go from MOC Champs to national? What was it, 3-4 days later? Not even 2 days later?
Yeah, I think it was 2 days later for me. It was definitely difficult because your legs are fatigued from groups, and then your legs are fatigued from MOC Champions, and then your legs are fatigued from your race the day before at nationals, and because I raced 2 races at nationals. So, I mean, your legs are they're constantly getting pounded on, and they're not getting time to recover. Whereas, any other state in the U.S., their legs are perfectly recovered for nationals. So the training that week, we did nothing, I feel like, because, what could you do? Yeah. There were so many unknowns, and it's more important for your legs to recover. So we got no speed work in. There was no distance run or anything that we did that week. I think we did like a mile warm up and maybe 2 or 3 miles each day. And so we went through a solid week and a half where we did no training because there was no time to do any training, and that's just what we were forced to do. And yeah, it was tough because you feel like you're losing fitness and you're losing speed and all this stuff, but you still have to stay so sharp for all these races.
And, and depending on where you go, some of these athletes are getting on a plane and flying to one of the national meets. So it's crazy to think that, New Jersey does this. It's bizarre what it seems like they're trying to do to MOC Champs, because there is always rumors about them, possibly taking it away and things like that. And I want to get your opinion on that. Being a MOC Champions champion and having the pride that you have, without saying too much, because you're still an NJSIA athlete, so I don't want to get you in any trouble. But what is, you talk glowingly about nationals, but and you've won MOC Champs a few times, 3 times. But what does having the chance to compete at a MOC Champions mean to you? Is it you talked about your pride in doing it? It was obviously important enough this year for you to compete in it and then go to nationals. So, you said one of your goals is to sweep all 3 next year. So what is the importance of MOC Champs to you as a runner in New Jersey?
I think MOC Champions is so special. I mean, it's really an exclusive club, and it's always exciting when a new person will win MOC Champions. You get to add them into the exclusive club, kind of. But I mean, it's such a special thing because that you're not, the Section 4A2 winner state champion. You're like the real New Jersey state champion. So it's definitely super cool. And it's awesome seeing everybody like get all these cool wins in track and, you know, during cross country and indoor track, like seeing the boy that won the event that I won. And it's like, oh, like we did that together. Yeah. So it's just kind of fun. And you make all these friendships through it and all these special connections. And I truly think MOC Champions is awesome. And I know that there's talk about getting rid of it to make room in the schedule for nationals. And I think that would be the worst decision anyone could ever make, because that's such a special thing that New Jersey has. And honestly, like if people have to make the decision, at least the decision's there. It's better than getting rid of MOC Champions altogether. And yeah, if they got rid of MOC Champions, I would be so upset because it is such a special thing. And I mean, I want my kids to understand what MOC Champions is when they're hopefully going through the circuit. And if they get rid of MOC Champions now, my kids will be like, oh, my mom won MOC Champions. Like, what does that even mean?
Or you'll become a legend. It could be either way, or you'll be like even more legend. There could be a mix of both there. So yeah, it's interesting what they're doing with MOC Champs, and you know, and it's the races there are great, and I think you guys, all the athletes, you guys put on an incredible show considering they canceled it, and then you had to go, and it went from 2 days to 1 day. Like you guys tucked together, knowing you had nationals right on your heels, and just to show all the athletes you all put on the national caliber times, and you know, all the USA top 10 here, this and that, like. Kudos to all of you. Was that kind of a mission? Were you in contact with any of the other girls that you knew you were competing against? And was it kind of a thing like, we're going to do this. We're going to show everyone that we could still make this meet a big time national caliber meet. Was that a goal of any of you?
Yeah, the day that it got delayed, I got so many DMs or Snapchat or anything from my friends that were also racing at MOC Champs. Like, are you still doing it? Like, which race are you going to choose? You know, everybody was trying to figure out who was still doing it and who was going to just skip it and go to nationals. And it was cool. Kind of like everybody was in this little panic mode together. We were all trying to figure out what we were trying to do. But yeah, I mean, we all kind of came to the decision, like, you know, this is MOC Champions, and we really just want to perform our best and see what we could do, you know, put our best foot out there, and, you know, maybe it turns out good, maybe it turns out bad, maybe you get a PR. So yeah, we really just wanted to put our best out there and see what we could do. And, you know, it worked out for some people, it didn't work out for other people, but at least we gave it a try and we didn't just, you know, scrap it altogether.
Good.
So now there are 3 nationals meets right now. There is New Balance Nationals, Nike Nationals, and Adidas Nationals. When you're going through that with Coach, which one did you guys covet the most? What was the one that you were looking at? Like, if I got an invite to this one, I'm 100% going to that one. Like, this is the one that means the most to me, because me and Dave, I think, have the same answer, which we recognize as nationals. But what was that like with you and Coach looking at it going, okay, which one do we want to do?
Yeah, well, out of those 3, we really only had one option. That was New Balance, because I was still in school and I still had to take finals.
Right.
So flying all the way to Oregon and coming back, like it would have been cool, but it wouldn't have been possible because I had finals that I had to study for, and I had to be back in school on Monday to take that final. So it was New Balance was kind of our only option. We didn't even really consider Adidas, but I mean, I think New Balance. I would still say New Balance probably. It's a debate between New Balance and Nike, but I think New Balance probably had the best competition this year. You know, certain races, maybe Nike had a better one, but I think New Balance definitely puts on a better show. And
it's at
a
Franklin
true party.
Field.
Like, I think, yeah, I think their saying is like biggest party on earth, and it's a true party.
So, yeah. And you know, Dave and I agree. We, you know, even when I was there, Nikes had cross country, and they actually had indoor. Nike Indoor Nationals and XC was like a big thing. Foot Lockers was a little bit bigger, but Nike did have their XC.
Well, Nike though was more team aspect.
Yes.
Like you would go there, you know, as a team.
But for outdoor, it was New Balance. It was, you know, you were New Balance Nationals. Like, I don't even think like anyone cared about Nike. Like Nike, obviously having it at Hayward is a big deal. Everyone wants to go run in Oregon, but it's like, to me, New Balance is still the it race. So I'm happy you went there. And that, that you guys chose to go there. Now, given the opportunity coming up next year, would you kind of just be like, I want to go run in Oregon? Like, would that be like kind of a consideration, being a senior, knowing you can? Like, would it be like, hey, I ran at Franklin a few times, I've done Penn relays, let's go do Hayward? Like, is that something that you may consider, or are you going to still kind of stay faithful to New Balance? I'm putting you on the spot here.
Yeah, you're really putting me on the spot. I would say, it really depends on where the bigger competition is, because I think the bigger competition is what attracts me. And, some years Nike will have the better race that year, and some years New Balance have the better race. I think New Balance is cool because they give the elite athletes uniforms and like an athlete lounge and all that stuff. But Hayward Field is a hard one to turn down. So that it really depends on where the competition is that year, I would say. But the biggest one for next year that I'm praying I get an invite to is Brooks PR. Because if I get an invite to Brooks PR, I'm dropping everything and going. I don't care. Yeah, I don't care if MOC Champions is that day. I'm going to Brooks PR.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
So,
yep, go ahead.
I have a question. So, after you went at, nationals this year, then you run at the New York Grand Prix. What was that like, being there with all those pros who were also running? That had to be a really cool experience.
It was awesome. I'm one of the biggest track nerds probably in this sport.
I don't know about that.
I have a running, I don't know. I could test you on that.
I love it.
But it was so cool. They did a really great job at putting on that meet. They had a whole kids section that they sectioned off where it was filled with kids that were like throwing their papers at all the athletes coming off the track, trying to get their autographs. It was craziness. There were so many kids in this little crowded area. It was so cool. And I'm sure like those athletes, they're not in the NFL or in the NBA. They don't get this huge fan base. So I'm sure for the athletes, the pro track runners coming off the track, it probably felt so cool for them. And I know personally, if I was in their position, I'd be like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And for me, I was in heaven, because on my TikTok, I got to interview people. I had my mini microphone and, asked all these runners, can you answer a quick question for me? And so that was awesome. And it was cool just getting to know these pro runners and just being around them. And I was warming up and like Craig Engels was right next to me. I'm like, hello.
The best mullet in all of sports.
Without a doubt. I don't know. The Jets just drafted that lineman, that Tipman, and that's a great mullet that he has going on there. I'm a Jets fan, so I'm a little biased. But Emma, thank you. Oh, go ahead, Dave. You want to go for it before we close out? Go ahead, Dave.
I just love how you seem so involved in the pro track circuit. So, like, how much do you follow the pros, and do you have any quick predictions for what you think is going to happen this coming weekend? I'm putting you on the spot there. Once again, like, do you follow people who are from Jersey, like Sydney and Athing and Allie Wilson, or do you just kind of just follow the sport as a whole?
Both. I follow people individually and the sport as a whole. Let's see. As track predictions, I think Allie Wilson's going to make it in the 800. Obviously, Athing. I said Athing. She's going to represent New Jersey, no doubt.
Yeah,
but I think Allie Wilson.
She's running the 1500 though. Athing Mu is going 1500.
Yes, that's going to be exciting to watch.
It is. I'm curious.
The 1500 a lot more. Yeah, I raced a mile in the Armory a couple years ago, and she was in the heat after me, and I was like standing on the starting line, and she's lined up right next to me, and I'm like, oh my gosh. But so I think she'll qualify. She could do anything. I would definitely say Allie Wilson. She's got the 800. I just love her spirit, and I love how smiley she is. It's amazing.
She's awesome. She's a great follow too on social media.
Yeah, she's awesome. And I think Sydney, she is going to surprise us in the 400. She's had a lot of incredible races in the 400, but I think she's going to drop something insane this weekend that nobody was expecting.
I'm excited for. I think those are all very, very, very good predictions. And I'll say this, one of our goals with this show is to try and expand people, watching track, getting interested in track. So by the time you are running in the pro circuit, which I believe you will eventually get there,
you get paid.
You can get paid. One of our big goals here is to get you guys recognized so that when you're sitting there and you're running, when you're lining up next to a thing Mo, trying to dethrone her as the 1,500 meter incumbent, that you'll sit there and have a nice contract to fall back on, and you won't have to go and worry about working anymore besides being a runner. So that's one of our goals, to hopefully, get you athletes paid and things like that. So Emma, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was an absolute blast. You are, mature beyond your years. I did not feel like I was talking to a high school athlete this whole time. Thank you so much.
Yes. And, obviously we wish you nothing but success in this coming year, and we will be following you. And when you do make your college choice and you want to come on our show to let everyone know, that would be great too. But no, in all seriousness, best of luck. And I just love seeing younger athletes have such a passion and a desire to help the sport grow. And what you're doing is great. And whatever choice that you make in college, it's going to be the best for you and your family. And it's going to be fantastic.
So, and you mentioned your TikTok real quick when you were talking about that. You have a running TikTok. You interview people and things like that. What is the handle for your running TikTok? Where can people go find you there? And you already have 13.2 thousand followers. I think we need to get that to like 20K. Just quick. Let's get you up there. How can people find you there? What is your handle?
Well, it's Emma.runs with 2 S's, because 1 S was taken. And yeah, if you follow me there, you'll see a lot of pro interviews, or I've made 2 dancers with Craig Engels now. I'm going to USA's next week to watch my brother, and got a new Bluetooth mini microphone to interview some pros with. So hopefully we can get some good content there. So yeah, so it's a good time on TikTok.
Awesome. So if you have a TikTok, go follow her. I do not have a TikTok. Sorry, Emma. I cannot. But if you have a TikTok, go give her a watch and, support her, and go suggest more people to watch her, because as you can hear from this show, Emma's awesome. So once again, this is Talking in Ovals. Give us a like, share, follow, subscribe, rate 5 stars, spread this word of mouth. Go look for us on the socials at Talking in Ovals. You'll see our logo. We are right there. And we will be back next week with another fantastic show. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed it. Good night, everybody.